Hey guys, Finn here from the Grounded Masculine, and I'm really excited to bring this training to you all on the four-step process to creating certainty. So this training is really exciting for me because it is what I've been using and fine-tuning with my clients for the last couple of years to be able to create some amazing transformations with the men who have put their hand up and asked for that help and support. And by the end of today, you're going to be able to have a really simple framework of action steps that you can implement straight away to start creating more certainty within yourself. But before we get into the training, I just want to share a little bit of a story from one of my clients. So we started working together a number of months ago because he was in a position where he was just feeling really stuck within himself, within his life. He had been trying to make changes in so many aspects. He'd been investing in other courses, listening to loads of podcasts, reading loads of books, following all the people you follow on socials. But nothing was changing within himself. He was really frustrated with how he was showing up in his relationship with his wife because he was getting triggered the whole time and he wasn't able to hold space and be fully present for her. This always led into how he was showing up as a father to his son, where he would turn around with bursts of anger and rage and frustration because he wasn't able to manage his emotions. He wasn't able to look after himself to be able to show up for his son. And then last thing with that is at work, he was just feeling completely unfulfilled at work because he wasn't living his passion. He wasn't doing what he knew that he could do. And all in all, is like he was just in a really bad place. So as we started working together, we started implementing this four-step process to start creating more certainty in himself. And over the course of months, like his whole life completely transformed. And that is available for each and every one of you too. Because when you start following the basics of this framework, it just flips your perspective of everything. It allows you to start really creating that life that you know that is there for you. Start reaching into that potential and that possibility that you hold for yourself. And it's giving you the step-by-step framework that you can use to make that your reality. So let's get into it. So the first things first, step number one is filling your cup. So we probably all heard that saying before, is that you can't pour from an empty cup. But what does that actually mean? So when I look at the principle of filling your cup, it is all about what is it that you're doing for yourself to nourish and honor yourself first and foremost. Because a lot of people out there is like they focus on everyone else around them. They give to their family, they give to the kids, they give to their friends, they give to the community, they give all of their energy to everybody else without giving to themselves. Because society or their family or whatever might have built these old stories that it's like you're being selfish if you're giving to yourself. But at the end of the day, if you continuously give to all of these other people around you without giving to yourself first, you'll get to a point where you will be empty, you will be burnt out, and you will have nothing left to give. And some of you might be in that position right now. I get it because I too was like that. I'm a reformed people pleaser. So this is starting to let go of that people pleasing mentality. That is starting to let go of the guilt of giving to ourselves and start seeing that actually we're being a disservice to all of the people around us if we are not truly giving to ourselves. Because we want to have that longevity. We want to be able to nourish and honor ourselves in this way. So when our cup is overflowing, and when our cup is overflowing, that allows us to show up in all of these other different facets of our life on a continuous basis rather than these big ups, these big lows. So what does that look like? So through the programs that I run, I've got like the 5 key areas that we focus on with filling your cup. And that is looking at your movement. That is looking at your nutrition. That is looking at your breath work or meditation practice. That is looking at your connection. So it's like your journaling practice. And then the last one is removing a clutch, removing what one of your vices is, like a clutch is that you go to numb out when everything's getting too much for you. That could be social media, that could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be porn, it could be all of these different facets. So figuring out what that clutch is for yourself and removing that for yourself for a long period of time. So then it allows you to actually sit into what's going on for yourself rather than escaping. So for yourselves, this is what I ask you to start looking at, is like start checking in. Is like, what is your movement practice like? It's like, are you moving? Are you nourishing? Are you looking after your body on a daily basis? What is your nutrition like? Again, it's like there's so much information out there that we can get overwhelmed with it. But at the end of the day, it's like goes basic with this. Like we know what's good first, we know what's bad first. Eat more good things, eat less bad things. Just start from that basic level, and then as you start making these changes consistently, that's where you can start fine tuning and making more shifts with it. It's like bringing in some sort of breathwork meditation practice. Like even as little as 10 minutes a day can have a massive impact on how you're showing up for yourself, because it just allows you to regulate your whole nervous system, allows you to quieten your mind and come into yourself. And then the last one with that is looking at that connection phase. It's like having some time to put pen to paper and journal and reflect. Because again, we get caught up so much time in our head, but putting pen to paper, that energy exchange of getting our thoughts out of our head onto paper, is such a magical process that allows us to get a lot more clarity in what we're doing and how we're showing up. And one of the best things that we can do is having a practice where we're reflecting back on a day, asking ourselves the 4 power questions of what went well, what didn't go well, what lessons did I learn, and what can I do differently? So again, it was like what went well, what didn't go well, what lessons did I learn, and what can I do differently next time? That could be like, what can I do? What do I want to show up as differently tomorrow? Whatever that might be. But if you have this process of asking yourself them 4 questions in journaling format, like it's going to transform so many aspects of your life. So that is the basics of step 1 of filling your cup. So from here, the biggest thing that I want you to focus on is looking at them 5 key areas that we covered: your movement, your food, your breath, your journaling, and a clutch. Spend a little bit of time putting pen to paper on each of them and just make one decision, one tweak on each and every one of them to start doing something a little bit more so for yourself, to start nourishing yourself. And just do that for a week. And then once you master that for a week, it's like extend that out for a second week. See if you can add an extra little layer onto it and start building that process from there. And the longer you do this, the more consistent you are with that. That's where you're starting to build more and more trust with inside of yourself. That's where you're starting to build more confidence with inside of yourself. So the whole element of creating that certainty comes from actually taking action. So that allows us to move on to the second aspect of ourselves, the second step that we can start going into. Once we have them foundations down of filling our cup, then the next layer that we start looking at is the stories and the beliefs that we're telling ourselves. Because our beliefs or our stories are the lens that we view the world through. So whenever we're looking at the world, whatever when we're making things mean for us, is all directed by the stories and the beliefs that we hold deep inside of ourselves. And them stories may have been implanted in you from a very young age, from your childhood, from your environment, from media, from past experiences around you. And these stories are just built into where you are right now. And at the end of the day, it's like you are exactly where you are because of the stories, because of the behaviors and patterns that you have done each and every day. That is what's got you to where you are right now. But the thing is, what's got you to here right now isn't going to get you to where you want to be, because something needs to shift, something needs to change. You wouldn't be listening to this training unless you knew something needed to shift and change. And what that is you. So by following these steps, following these stages of process, it's going to allow you to start creating that shift and change. Again, we filled our cup, we're starting to look after ourselves in that way. So the next evolution of that is becoming aware of the stories and the beliefs that you hold. So a good exercise for this is allowing yourself to start becoming curious around the thoughts that you're telling yourself. So even now is like asking yourself is, what is it that you actually really want in your life? Take a moment just to think, what is it that you really want in your life? And as you're starting to get that vision, as you're starting to get them pictures come true, I want you to start being aware of like what thoughts coming in that are pulling you back. That says like, oh, I can't do that. It's like, oh, who are you to think you can create that life? It's like, are you? I'm not smart enough. Whatever that might be, is like start being aware of like what's them stories that are starting to creep in that are trying to pull you back and keep you stuck. Because when we start becoming clear on the stories that we're telling ourselves, that internal dialogue that's going through our head, that's where we can start making changes to that stories. That's where we can start putting things in place to start rewriting that story for ourselves. Because at the end of the day, the stories and the beliefs that we hold is going to have a direct correlation with the actions that we're taking. So if you are feeling really confident and really empowered, you're going to be able to take big, bold action. And when you take big, bold action, that's going to give you the results that matches with that action. And that's where you're starting to create that dream life. Whereas if you've got shitty beliefs and shitty stories that are holding you back, it's like, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. Who am I to think I'm doing that? That tall poppy syndrome. You're not going to take big, bold action. You're just going to play it small. And every time you don't take that action, every time you play it small, you get the same shitty results that you've been getting. And then same results that you keep getting is just feeding that story that is keeping you stuck in this downward spiral. So action step from this stage is to start bringing that awareness to the stories, to the beliefs that you hold about yourself. Start putting pen to paper on them. Start exploring them a little deeper for yourself. And then just start challenging yourself. It's like, how can I do different? How can I rewrite that story? What is that internal dialogue? That if I could be shifting that internal dialogue to be moving from that inner critic to being your inner cheerleader, saying it's like, yeah, I can do this. What would that happen? What would that change? Beautiful. So that moves us on to the next stage of creating certainty. And the next stage of creating certainty is looking at your values investment. So what do I mean by your values investment? So it's basically looking at where you're investing. The three of the main commodities that I see that is the most important things in our life. It's looking at your time, looking at your energy, and looking at your finances. So whenever you're looking at that, it's like your time, your energy, and your finances. These are the three of the most important commodities that each and every one of us have. Because these are the three things that is going to have a specific limit. So if we're looking at where we're actually investing our time, where we're investing our energy, and where we're investing our finances, that's going to have a really big dictation and picture of like what's actually happening within our life. Because if you're not managing your time well, it's like you're always time poor, you're not going to be able to do and create the life that you want. If you don't have the energy and the vitality to do the things that's going to bring you more and more energy and vitality, you're going to feel really tired and you're going to feel really frustrated and just heavy and flat. And lastly, it's like if you're not investing your money wisely, you're going to be feeling completely overwhelmed and you're going to feel really stuck. Whereas when you can start choosing more wisely of where you're spending your time, where you're spending your energy, where you're spending your finances, and when you can spend each of them three things in alignment with you, in alignment with that bigger picture for yourself, that's where things is going to shift and change. So really good point to start looking at and working on with this is getting clear on what your values are. Like, what do you feel is most important to you in your life right now? It could be your family, it could be like your personal growth, it could be education, it could be your health. Like you'll find is like when you start going, getting clear on your values, the things that are most important to you, you ask yourself is like, am I spending time? Am I spending energy? Am I spending money in alignment with them values? Or am I actually wasting them my time, my energy, and money in the things that aren't really important to me? So this is where we can start doing a little bit of an audit on our life. Start looking and asking the questions. Where have I been spending all of my time this last week? Get your calendar out, look through the calendar. Where have I been doing all of these things throughout the week? There's where I'm going to work. There's where I'm binging watching Netflix. There's where I'm staying up too late, so I'm not getting up in the morning to be able to do some self-care. Whatever that might be. Start looking and getting clear where you're putting your time. And that's going to start painting a picture of what's working for you and what's not working for you. And then choose how you can invest your time more wisely. The next one is doing the same for your energy. It's like, what are you doing that's going to be bringing you energy and vitality for yourself? That falls back into that element of filling your cup. And what are you doing with that energy? When you have this energy, are you just bleeding that out? Or are you doing things for everyone else apart from yourself? Falling into that people pleaser trap of doing this for other people? Or are you actually channeling that energy into what we covered in step one with like filling your cup? And then the last one is looking at where you're spending your finances. It's like looking what your money story is. It's like, are you actually investing your money in you? Are you actually investing in the biggest commodity within your life, the thing that's going to have the most impact, the most change within yourself? And that is you, like investing wisely in looking after your health, investing in mentors that are going to be able to push you out of your blind spots and help bring you forward to that next step. Or are you playing small? Again, it's like for myself, it's like for so long I tried to lone wolf it because I felt it's like, oh, I don't have the money to invest in myself. It's like, oh, so who am I to be able to like get a coach and invest in myself? And at the end of the day, by doing that, I just prolonged my pain. I just kept myself stuck for years that I didn't need to stay stuck. And it wasn't until I invested in myself and started paying for that support, paying for coaches and mentors, that things started shifting and changing really, really quick. And it's the thing that I see so often with every single one of my clients. When you put money on the table and invest in you, and find, most importantly, find the right people to invest in, it is absolutely priceless. So again, action steps from this is doing that time audit, looking at where you're spending your time and energy, doing that money audit, looking at it as like, are you investing in yourself? Or have you like unhealthy money stories that's keeping you stuck? And then more importantly, looking at like, right, what can I do better? How can I invest my time, my energy, my finances in things that are going to actually bring me more and more of what it is that I want? And then the last step to look at is, this is probably one of the most important ones to summarize everything, and it is implementation over consumption. So again, implementation over consumption. So going back to the story that I shared at the start with the client, he had been trying everything, or so he thought. He had been trying everything to create changes within his life. I guarantee there's like a lot of you listening to this are probably doing the same. Listening to the audiobooks, listening to the podcasts, following all the different influencers on social media, following the different coaches, getting inspired by all of these people around you. You're like dipping your fingers in all of these small trainings like this, getting all of this information, all of these things that, oh, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that. But you're still stuck. You're still where you were 6 months ago. You're not where you want to be because you're consuming all of this information. You're consuming all of this knowledge, but you're not actually implementing the things that are most important. You might even be tricking yourself and implementing a small little bit here and there to give you that sense of, I was like, yeah, I'm doing something. But get really real, get really honest with yourself. It's like, is it what you're doing, the things that you really need to do? Because again, a lot of times we play it safe. We do the things to soothe their ego, but we don't like doing the things that's going to challenge our ego, and we don't like doing the things that's going to challenge ourselves, because that's scary. That's fucking like, oh, that's a bit tricky. That's hard. It's like, I don't want to go down that path because I'm a bit afraid of what could come up. But it's not until we have the support around us to push us out of our comfort zone, to start pushing us to make big, bold changes within ourselves, that things start happening. Again, as I go back into that whole aspect of going outside of our comfort zone, seeking them big problems that we want to start fixing, taking that big, bold action. Because when we do, that's where we're going to start creating that change. And again, that doesn't come from learning a concept. That comes from actually taking action, actually putting in the work, actually following through what it is that we do. And this training is a perfect example, because I know for a fact there'll be a handful of people who are watching this training. They're like, oh man, this makes sense. Take writing all the notes, and then do nothing with it. And then even worse, probably blames like, oh, that training wasn't that good. It didn't really do anything for me. It's like, this training is giving you the framework, that many, many men just like you have fucking transformed their whole lives. But they didn't do it by just consuming the information. They've done it by actually following through and taking action on what it is that I said. So again, this is a call out for you. It's like, what is the actions that you're going to take from this training in itself? What is the actions? What are you going to do differently that you haven't done? Again, as I said before, what got you to where you are right now isn't going to get you to where you want to be. So the actions that you were taking to get to where you are right now, you need to upgrade them actions. You need to do something different. You need to do more to bring you to that next level of where it is that you want to be. And that's where I can come in and support. Because again, I know what it's like to be on this journey, especially when we're trying to do it on our own. So like that is why, if you found that this training has been really valuable, if you found that this has been really insightful, but you feel that you do need more accountability, you feel that you do need more support to be able to start putting action to everything that we've covered, then this is an opportunity for you to put your hand up and ask for that help. Because again, you don't need to do this journey on your own. Again, I tried it for so long for myself and I just prolonged that pain. So this is a message to you, is like, please don't prolong the pain any longer than you need to. Put your hand up and ask for help and support. Because when you do, that's where things are going to change massively for you, for yourself. So again, from here, if this is something that you're ready to do, if this is something that you're ready to ask for action, ask for help, ask for support and accountability on, then this is an invitation to jump into my free 5-day Create an Inner Confidence program. So in my 5-day Inner Confidence program, we're going to go through this framework in day 1 of the training. And then we've got 5 days of supporting you deeply through that process. 5 days of helping to like deepen your knowledge, deepen your awareness of what action you can take to start breaking through your limiting beliefs, breaking through your shitty stories that have been holding you back. So you can really start having that massive support to create that change that you know that you deserve, to start living that life that is there waiting for you. So again, going back to point number 4, implementation over consumption is key. So this is where I want you to implement. This is where I want you to take action. And straight away, I want you to message me and say, I'm in. Let's do this. Sign me up. So go in 3, 2, 1. Do it. Thank you, brothers.